Hey everyone. So I'm gonna start keeping a log every day now. And I know the videos will get better at some point. I just have to start making videos just because it feels like the right thing to do. Um, I'll give more details about sort of my circumstance, obviously as things grow, and I feel like I need to. But right now, in terms of like my location or all these other details, I'm gonna kind of keep it under wraps. If you know me personally, you can reach out. If not, just comment down below and yeah, just focus on the content of the video. I just wanted to share this video and put this out there just for a record because I was thinking of recording it in my journal, but this felt too big. Like it just felt like way too much. So I've been doing the Gateway experience, really, really awesome. And I had a moment where I went into a higher meditative state and I fell asleep and I wasn't able to bring myself out of it until like I went into like this kind of weird lucid dreaming, like cross in between. It's happened a few times in this meditation, but basically what happened is while I was in this meditation, there's this part of it where you basically it like is like teaching you how to meditate at different stages of consciousness. So at first it's like, okay, meditate just a little bit outside of your physical space. Then after that it's like, okay, now meditate way outside your physical space. Now meditate even farther beyond that. And then farther beyond that. And eventually it gets to this place where you start like having a sense of identity or meditating beyond time, right? And at first, like you're listening to it and you're like, this doesn't make any sense until you get there mentally. And I got there. And while I was there, I know this is sound weird, but it was like for the first time I encountered like this being of love. Um, and the thing is, most of the time when I've had like these beings or feelings of love, it feels like it's filling me up, or like it was like it just fills me up and I'm doing it. I've realized every single one of those times now, like I would say it was God, that was like that was like me brushing up against God, or like maybe giving God a high five. Well, this is like I think the first time like I was in this space where I could like see God, right? Like really see God. Um, and then you realize you're not really seeing God. I saw basically what was the equivalent of like God's toenail or a toenail clipping. You know what I mean? It's like God clipped his toenail, dropped it on the ground, and you bumped into it and saw it. And in this toenail clipping, there was more love in this whole nail clipping than I realized than basically anything you can see on a common day experience, like in humanity. Like the way I'd explain it is I got to this place where I felt so connected to everything, like where I felt so like a few levels below, you start feeling like you and the world are one, right? And then through that, you can connect with certain individuals, which I had done. And you just start feeling like the entire world and you are like the one same thing. And then like your body or your ego is just one of several pieces you're moving around on this giant chessboard that is your life. But when you move beyond time, there's this feeling of like everything that has ever happened and ever that will happen, all the pain, all the suffering, all the fighting, all the choices for every person that's ever been made. And so many of them are contrary to the nature of love, which is our true nature. And you realize, like, when you realize what love is, you realize it's super simple, actually. Like, there's only really one way to love people, but there's like an infinite amount of ways not to. But when you really understand what love is at that level, you realize like love is really like a singular option. So it's super distinct and super clear. Uh, but when you get really detached from it, you can't see it because you're so covered in all the refractured pieces of poor choices and basic, like I could call it, for lack of a better word, you'd call it sin. You could basically call it sin. I don't like that word because of the religious connotations, but this honestly feels like the best word because you realize how often we miss the mark. Like we miss the mark so much more than we hit it. But when we hit the mark, it is so distinct, it is so clear, it is so powerful that after going down, getting finished with this meditation, I went down to go eat my breakfast and I just felt this whole entire sense of complete inadequacy. Like nothing I could ever do as a human being will ever match a toenail clipping of God. Like there's more love in God's toenail clipping than I can ever do throughout all space and time. I could literally spend my entire life serving lifetimes. I could literally spend all of humanity could get together and say we're going to try and match God's love. And there is nothing we as human beings could do to match that. And it was realizing that so many of the things that have worked out and work out for us, like our ingenuity, our understanding, our all these things come because we are love and we're attached to that. But when you divorce yourself from that and you don't see it, nothing you do will ever come close. And all these times that I thought I'd loved people, I realized I was lying. I didn't, not that I was having the intention to deceive, but it made me realize like I don't really understand what love is. Like I feel it, I know it when I experience it, but I realized to truly emulate it and live it out, I don't know what that is. I I had this feeling, and the feeling I'm carrying is like, imagine taking on the soul of every single person who ever lived throughout all space and time. So all the people who killed, all the people who got killed, all the people who got raped, all the people who got burned at the stake, all the people who got flooded, all the people who suffered, every single bad thing that ever happened. And then imagine you were both the perpetrator and the victim. And you had and felt and lived all those experiences. That's what it felt like. And then, like, when you want to repair it and you need it, you go to, like, only God can repair it. And then when God repairs it, you realize, like, the damage, the amount of damage you are doing and have done in order to create your experience just so you could turn back to God. Like that's how I felt. And I know there's another flip end of this where you feel like that worthiness and that sense of like blessing and that sense of grace. But right now, like after getting down to this meditation, going and eating, I'm just overwhelmed with this feeling of inadequacy. Like nothing I could ever do. Like with my life, everything. Like I just feel so powerless. And I recognize it's only halfway through the story, right? And you realize like that sense of powerlessness, like that's something I've been bringing on and doing myself. And I've realized that sense of powerlessness, the struggle against that is what has caused me to do everything that I've done. That sense of not feeling powerful, that sense of wanting to be more than I feel like I am, has is what made me diminish myself. Like I literally cut myself down and made myself smaller so that I could build myself back up when I was already whole. You know, and I don't know, it's just this, it's weird. It's guilt, it's shame, it's a feeling of abandonment, but I don't feel like I'm low vibe. I actually feel like I just took a step out. I feel like I just stepped in and I'm starting at square zero again. And I realize like when people get to this point, this is like where they give up. Because I'm not gonna lie, like I understand. I'm like, oh yeah, I can understand why people would never meditate or do anything like that again. Because you get it, you have all these amazing experiences. But this feeling feeling, it's literally one of the worst feelings I've ever felt in my entire life. And everything's working out. It's not coming from anything that I'm seeing in my life. It's like literally just It was like I just saw all of humanity and everything and every single bad choice and everything we do that is not contrary that is contrary to love, and just realizing like I did it all. Like literally feeling like I did it all. Like it's my fault. Like I was the person that like sent those bombs off in the Gaza Strip. I'm the person that shot up that school. I'm the person that, killed that woman. I'm the woman that killed that man. I'm the woman that drowned her babies. Like I just feel like I did all that. Like it was me. And it's just this intense feeling of like nothing I do can ever make up for what I've done. And it's not even about what I've done, it's like who I was because I forgot who I was. I stepped so far away from who I was and I got so wrapped up in my ego. Like when I think about my own personal life, I realize like Oni's awesome and great, but when I realize like just who I truly was, because that's one of the things that happens in the meditation. They ask you like, who are you? And I'm like, oh yeah, I know who I am, and I have like a lot of transcendental experiences that tell me about this thing. But when you really go beyond that, and then you come back, you're just realizing I just felt like I was a giant scam, like I'd scammed myself, and that I'd been living so contrary to everything that I knew better. So yeah, I'm gonna jump right back into the meditation experience. Because it does feel like I'm just at the bottom of this hero's journey a little bit and I need to get back up and move through this cycle. I feel like the opposite of whatever this feeling is exists on the other side through it. So I'm going to keep going logically. But from a purely emotional standpoint, like, I don't think I've ever felt lower in my entire life. Yeah, I don't think I've ever felt lower than I do right now. Even all the times, like, all the stuff I went through as a kid, no, I don't think I've ever felt as bad as I do right now. So yeah, that is not rock bottom in my life, but this is my emotional rock bottom.